Hey guys, welcome back to Poised in Progress. I am your host Aria, and on this podcast we talk about everything about how to be poised while growing into your best self. So whether that's you're growing into a business, getting your career started, starting over, I'm here to help lessen the load for you guys. So if that is any interest to you, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you are on podcast, make sure that you follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review. And let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Long time no see. I will actually get more into that into the episode, but I am officially back. It's been a crazy 3 months and I had to take a break from my podcast for a little bit, but I came back and I feel rested and I feel excited to actually know what direction I want to take this podcast, because when I first started this podcast, I was very unsure about what way I wanted to go, and I feel a lot better about where I plan on taking this. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to go full time into your passion, into your work. So I want to talk about this because a lot of people who follow me are also business owners themselves, and maybe they work another job, or maybe they are trying to get into their business and start up and just really want to know what habits that they should have to successfully become full-time in their career, in their business. I want to share with you guys these tips that I did for myself over the years that made it to where I went full-time within being a solo esthetician. The first thing I wanted to talk about that I did to actually help me go full-time in my business is I literally had no plan B. So what does that mean to have no plan B? A lot of times when I hear people come and talk to me, they're asking me like, okay, like how'd you go full time? I get so scared about how I'm going to, make this work and everything like that. And the first mindset that I actually came up with whenever I was in school for esthetician school, like I wasn't even by myself, is that there was no plan B. There was no safety net. The reason why you need to get into this mindset is because it'll help you understand that if you do not put 110% in what you're doing, you will not have a safe goal to escape to. Not having a plan B also helps you really believe in your plan. I think so many times we want to second guess ourselves and think things are not going to happen the way they are, because when you start a business or when you start anything, a lot of times you are trying to figure out like, okay, is this actually going to happen? You are taking a huge risk, because starting a business is not easy. It takes a lot of self-discipline. It takes a lot of sacrifice, and there is a period where you are really broke. When you're in that time, you really have to believe in your vision. So the first thing I will say is to not think you have a plan B when starting your business. The second thing that I did to help myself go full-time is I literally cut out everything that was going to plummet me. So what does this mean? So during that time, whenever I was trying to go full-time and everything, I was noticing that my attention was going into multiple different areas. And when you are starting a business and you are really wanting it to pop off and it be your full-time income, and you want to leave that job or leave that old situation that you were in, you have to quiet the noise. When building a business, you experience so much, like it's like your confidence kind of goes down whenever you start a business, because you realize how much work actually goes into doing this. When you start a business, you're a lot more in your head than anything else, because you're like, okay, well, it doesn't have this aesthetic like this similar business does, or my profit line, like I'm starting for nothing. Like, how do I like gain money for this? How do I save for this? What is the first steps? You just have all of these different questions and uncertainties when starting. So one of the things I did was quiet the noise. And how I quieted the noise at the time for me was to cut out social media that wasn't for my business. So if you're an esthetician yourself, then an esthetician beauty provider or any type of service based, then it's very heavily online. Like, you have to market yourself. It's no longer just word of mouth. Like, you really have to be online and show your work, right? And so what I did was I completely ignored my main pages, like my main Instagram, my main Snapchat. Like, I remember I haven't been on Snapchat in a long time, because those can no longer crowd my brain because I need to be present into my business as much as possible. So what this did for me was actually make me post more, because I was seeing so much of how much stuff worked from everybody else that I was just trying it for myself and seeing what actually worked for me to gain clients. And so surrounding myself with just my industry actually helps me post more and be more proactive in my business, because I was no longer surrounding myself with watching other people who were not going into my line of work. Also, how I quiet the noise is I also cut out people that were not going to help me get there as well. I remember before I started, I had a lot of other friends. What I noticed is that none of those friends were actually going to get me to where I need to be at. And if you are anything like me, I am a more of a hard cut person. So if you are not a hard cut person, there's still a way to gradually let that go. And the main way I would say it, if you have trouble of letting people who are not good for you go, I want you to get into the routine of asking yourself, what is worth more? Is this relationship with someone who doesn't see my best interest, who doesn't want me to succeed, who doesn't actively help me progress in this life? Are they worth more than my dream? Are they worth more than everything I have on this vision board? If you're on YouTube, you will see my vision board in the back of the video. Are they worth more? And that's something I continuously ask myself throughout just everything, because I think sometimes we forget that there are so many outside noises that can actively affect us in our goals, whether that is with a business or doing school or just like on our self-growth journey. We tend to forget that those things are factors, and you have to continuously ask yourself, is it worth me losing out on my dream? The next thing that I did to help myself was I got into a workout routine. Being an ex-athlete myself, working out has always been where I go to, because working out really does break something down in your brain where you literally have already completed something really hard, where you're actively tiring out your muscles, you're actively tiring out your body, but in a way that's actually going to build it up to sustain other things later. If you start at 10 pounds and in a month you're at 20 pounds, you are building up to something. So I think working out actually helps you, one, build the confidence, but also it clears the noise. Like we were just talking about, silencing the noise and getting all those distractions out your way. Working out also helps mentally quiet the noise. One thing I would also add in, which I'll talk about in the next point, is to really learn about neuroscience, and especially because it teaches you why working out and will actually progress you into becoming full-time in your new business. What I mean by working out, getting up and moving your body first thing in the morning really does help you stay super focused. It is currently 10 a.m. right now, and before that I had already ran 2 miles. I've already gotten showered, dressed, ready for the day. I actually already filmed a whole nother video, and now I have actually had enough time to do this as well. If I didn't do that run in the morning, I promise you I probably wouldn't have ever gotten up to film this video. The reason being is because when you accomplish that first thing in the morning that was really tough, it actually really helps you continue to being the best throughout the day. Everybody says that if you win the first hour of the day, you win the rest of the day. So if you win the first hour of the day of getting up on time and making your bed and getting some movement in, you're just going to continue winning throughout the day. Okay, my next one is neuroscience. Getting into neuroscience, that's probably been the best part for me this whole entire year. At the beginning of the year is when I started reading a lot of articles on neuroplasticity and actually how the brain works. When you are getting into business in particular, there is a lot of it that you are dealing with in your brain, because nobody gives you a roadmap of how to actually make your business super successful. Now, people put stuff you can get on the master classes, you can read the articles, you can watch the YouTube videos, you can even watch this video. The thing is that it's not very specific to what you are trying to do. That's your job. It's not everybody else's job. The job of everybody else is to give you the stuff, but if you don't implement it and make it your own, you are going to stay stuck. So the reason why I say to really get into neuroscience and learning about neuroplasticity, it really helps you understand what is going on to help you build that confidence, build the momentum for you to continue pushing for your business. So for instance, one of the things I read is that you should go outside within the first 30 minutes of you waking up. The reason being is because it helps regulate your circadian rhythm so that you are waking up and then you also can go to sleep on time. So getting out early like that, and even if you can't go physically outside, but to turn on all your lights, it doesn't do exactly the same, but it's close to, rather than getting dressed in the dark, because that's something I used to do a lot. Is I always would get dressed in the dark, and now I see a total difference of like me getting up and at 'em whenever I like turn on all the lights, or if I walk out to my balcony and I like get that sun on myself as well. And another part about neuroplasticity that I really want to implement in this episode is you need to repeat things consistently. Do the boring things. I mentioned this a lot when it comes to my journey of becoming full-time into my business. I posted consistently every single day. Did I like every single video? Absolutely not. Did I think my work matched every single time? Absolutely not. Did I get discouraged when one video got like 1,000 views and another one got 100 views? Absolutely. The thing is that it wasn't about how much I was producing. It was just the consistency to tell myself that it doesn't matter how good or how bad that day went. You still pushed for what you wanted for your business, right? And what I noticed from other estheticians and other salon owners and beauty professionals is that they lose momentum whenever the video does not do how they want. If like they see like, okay, this didn't work this one time or twice, and so they just cut it. That's not what's going to help you. What I've learned from watching and reading so much about these successful business owners is that they were consistent. Like, I think sometimes whenever we are wanting to start a business or we're working really hard for our business, we think that there's going to be a section where it's going to calm down or that it's going to be easy. The reality is that owning a business is never going to be easy. You're going to have times where you're making a lot of money, but it's still going to be a lot of stuff that you have to do. It's never going to be calm. So you don't want a calm business. So the calm business is not moving, it's not evolving, it's just kind of just staying very stagnant. And that can also be very stressful whenever your business is in a very stagnant place as well. So when you are going through that motion, you need to be consistent in the good things. So like I mentioned, these last 2-3 months it's been very busy because I'm starting nursing school. I also was taking a class this summer. I was fully booked almost every single day that I worked, and I was also trying to travel a little bit while also working out, like, you know, a lot of stuff on my plate. But one thing I would say that you can go to my business page and see me consistent in is posting consistently. Even though I really wasn't understanding, I wanted to do more stuff with my business and stuff like that, and I was figuring that out. I never pressed pause. What I did was I continued with the stuff that I knew that worked while I was also implementing the new things into my business. And that is what kept me going, because whenever you are in your business, there's going to be highs and lows. You're going to have a good month, and then you're going to have a bad month. Like, that's just how business works. And when you want to become full-time, you need to understand that you have to continuously work for this and continuously strive for the best. And how you do that is through consistency. And the last thing that I wanted to leave you guys with is a really good habit that I did for my business, for me to become full-time in my business, is to really believe in myself. Taking the time to actually congratulate myself and celebrate myself while going through this. This is something that I noticed that a lot of us do in different areas of our life, is that we don't take the time to appreciate what that time meant. I'm going to be honest, you becoming full-time will not be exactly how you planned it to be. It won't be exactly how you thought it was going to be like, because at the end of the day, a lot of times what we think it's going to be like is based off of somebody else's story, and our story is our own, so it's going to be different. And that's okay, because that's what makes us unique, and that's what's going to help us continue to grow. And with that being said, we need to celebrate those wins that we have for ourselves. If you got more views on your page than you usually did, that's a way to celebrate yourself. And celebrating yourself doesn't mean like going out and popping bottles. It might just really just telling yourself that you did a good job. Like, it's literally as simple as you telling yourself, I did good. I actually pushed through and I did something that I didn't think I was going to do. Like, building that also helps you build the confidence to continue pushing through. So becoming full-time is not necessarily super hard. It's staying full-time, which I will probably touch on in another episode. But staying full-time is basically you cheering yourself on continuously. The way we talk to ourselves, the way we think of ourselves really plays a huge part in how we will execute things later on. So if you are continuously putting yourself down, saying you're not good enough, oh, your thing doesn't look like somebody else, you're going to continuously fail because you are not actively looking at the good parts in your business, looking at the good parts of yourself that you can that you can multiply on. There's going to be weakness in yourself when it comes to owning a business regardless. You don't know everything. Staying on yourself and like being like super mean and upset with yourself because you're not where you think you're supposed to be at does nothing for you. What does something for you is to look at what you actually do well at and go off of that instead of going off of things that you're not doing so well at. Instead of like criticizing yourself for it, look at outlets on how to actually improve in those areas or hire somebody who actually knows how to do those areas better than you. All right, guys, so today was a good straight to the point episode about things that I do to actually help me go full-time in my business. If you've been struggling to go full-time in your business, I hope these tips are something that you will implement into your daily living and that you will actually see good success from and go full-time. I will say, if I can leave you with anything, going full-time is a choice. It is not like it's not like, oh, like one day it's just like now it's time. It's literally when you choose to go full-time with your business is when you will go full-time with your business. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you are on podcast, make sure you guys follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review. I hope you guys have a great week and I will see you guys next week. Bye.